Hello, this is Abby.
Dear Abby, this is gonna be a long one.
Oh boy.
Dear Abby, how do you tell the difference between a new exciting crush and a rebound?
Does it matter?
Dear Abby.
Dear Abby.
Dear Abby.
Welcome to our little corner of the internet. This is the Dear Abby podcast. I hope you stay and hang out with us. See you in a sec. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Dear Abby. I hope everybody is having a great day and I'm excited to be here. I hope you are having a great day today. And I really mean that. I know a lot of podcasts start with saying that and they definitely probably mean that, but also it can feel a little redundant, even saying it sometimes, but also listening to it for some reason. But I really do. And I'm sure every podcast that says that at the beginning really also wants you to be having a good day. But if you're having a pretty upsetting day or exhausting or whatever, that's okay too. That's welcome here too. We can feel our stuff together. In all seriousness, I hope you're doing well and have some fun plans for this weekend because it's April and April is one of my favorite months because it's my sister's birthday this month, as well as now my nephew's birthday this month, as well as Easter, a bunch of other things. And it just is a good transition month from wintry to spring, summer vibes. But we are now ready to enter spring, summer. Mostly summer for me is where I'm at mentally. I feel like I've done my spring cleaning. We did so much to our apartment now that Keaton's moved in to our little studio. And it is a little bit tricky to be living in not even a one bedroom. It's a studio apartment. There's no escape, but he has his car. He has the closet and the bathroom. And he uses the bathroom for a long time when he goes. And so it's kind of like his little office now. And sure, I get the office out here. This is where my PC is. This is where I get to work. But, we make do with what we have. Okay, so the menu the menu for today's episode is appetizer. I'm sharing a story from this weekend because this was a little bit of a crazy weekend, which I will share with you. For the main course, we're talking about intentions. And specifically when it comes to relationships, I can do a lot better at really understanding people's intentions on what they're saying and understanding them as a person first versus waiting for them to say something wrong or maybe judging or assuming what they think when I don't know and I haven't asked, which can be a complicated topic because people do have good intentions, but it might come about and it might be taken offensively or harmfully. And so not all good intentions equal what the intention was. And that's not like the outcome that always happens. But I think especially in a close relationship that you have with a partner or with a family member, I feel it is a disservice to other people and to ourselves to assume the worst when it comes to somebody's intentions. And I used to take a lot of things personally and get offended easily, but now I've just changed my opinion on that and I don't have to take offense to things and I can actually understand and trust their intention. And also, these are people who I know them and I trust them and I know they're not trying to hurt me. And so we're talking about, anyways, I'm not going to go too deep into it because we're talking about it, but that's what we're talking about. And the point is to improve relationships. It's improved my relationship and just my more anxious attachment style thing. Though I do not fully understand that stuff, I am learning more about it and I'm trying to understand myself because I can be in a lot of because I get stuck in a lot of anxious loops when it comes to my relationship. So we're going to talk about that. And then for dessert, we're doing a Dear Abby and then we'll end today's episode. So first, let's get into this. Let's get into the story. So let me set the scene. There's two parts to the story. This is the first part. Keaton, pale, sunken eyes, just upchucking like crazy, throwing up, coming out the other end, both at the same time, all over. Now, the more realistic is not all over, but just in the bathroom. But again, we're in a studio apartment, so I could hear everything. So that's the scene. But let's press rewind and go back a little bit. So on Fridays, Whole Foods has, I believe, 12 oysters for $12. My husband loves oysters. So he thought, I'm going to call up some people, see if anybody would want to go get oysters with me. I personally think oysters are disgusting and taste like the ocean pooped in your mouth. Oysters also are very temperamental. You get them out of the ice for too long, they're bad because they're alive until you shuck them and eat them right before. They should always be on ice. Keaton calls up his friend. He can go. So me, his friend Keaton, go to Whole Foods. So they go get oysters. I get lunch. We're eating, having a great time. We get home. We play video games. I don't remember what we did on Friday. We went to bed, woke up, had a full day of building a birdhouse for myself because I've always wanted a little birdhouse. And you have so many birds that are around my backyard that I hear, that I see taking little bird baths in the neighbor's yard. I want them to take a bird bath in my bird bath. And I want them to eat my bird feeder, my food. I want them to eat from my house. So we spent all day Saturday building a birdhouse. He has a bunch of extra wood. He has some tools. And about midday Saturday, Keaton started to feel kind of gross. He said he was tired. He said he felt a little bit nauseous, but it could just be from a pineapple that he ate earlier that was like 2 days past expiration date, which I don't know why he does that, but I swear he does that so much where he knows it's expired, but he's like, it's probably fine and eats it anyways, and then like feels sick. And I'm like, you could not do that. You could not do that and save yourself so many stomach aches and so much like womp womp, my tummy hurts. Anyways, so I felt fine. I felt great. He kind of threw in the towel with the birdhouse. It still looks cute, but I could tell he was not feeling it anymore after a couple of hours of building. We were tired, but we wanted to go work out anyway, so we went to the gym. After the gym, we went and got sushi, even though it did not really sound good to both of us, but nothing sounded good, so fish like felt fresh. Ate some sushi. We were both not feeling great. Keaton was feeling not great at all. I was just not feeling hungry, but I still ate. I get home. I'm wanting to play video games, so I put on my headphones. I'm playing away, and I don't know what Keaton was doing. I thought he was editing or doing something on his laptop. So I'm just in my own world, probably listening to lo-fi, probably listening to Lord of the Rings. I was in a different world. Okay. I feel Keaton looking at me from the side, so I take my headphones off. I'm like, hey, what's up? And he says, did you not hear me? No, I didn't hear you. Continues to say, I've been throwing up like crazy. You couldn't hear me? I was calling your name because I needed you to bring me a bowl or something. I didn't want to throw up in the shower. I was like, oh, shiz. I'm sorry. I could not hear a thing with my headphones. I feel terrible. Whatever. I kind of shrugged it off, to be honest, at first, because I feel like I've thrown up a lot in my life. And so I just thought he just ate something gross. His body was like, get it out, and then he would be fine. But he continued to feel so sick, like groaning in pain, throwing up in our nice new bowl, just in the bathroom all night. Probably every 20 minutes, he'd have to get up and go throw up again. He was like dry heaving. He was cramping. He was dehydrated. I got like no sleep, but it's okay because the next day was Sunday, so not a big deal. We're both laying awake basically all night. I couldn't sleep. I could either hear him throwing up or he was by me going, oh. So got no sleep. He was going through it. I was a little bit nervous, but also I knew that it was probably just food poisoning from something. Like we had a lot of fish. He also ate that pineapple that was expired. I was like, you'll feel fine in 24 hours. It's just like a stomach bug thing. But he was not satisfied with that at all. And he was determined to figure out what it was. Early in the morning, like 3 or 4, he texted his friend who got oysters with us. And his friend was also diarrheaing, vomiting, all of it, all night, that exact same night. Was up at 3 right when he texted him. So they hopped on a call. Obviously, it was the oysters that they ate because I felt fine and I didn't eat any oysters. Kean kept searching it up, and he was like, oh, it's a norovirus, which my mom later told me is pretty much just a common stomach flu. It goes around every once in a while. So some worker didn't wash their hands or something disgusting. So watch out. It's good exposure, I guess. So Keaton became obsessed with like researching everything about the norovirus or whatever he thought he had, to the point where he was just reading and watching articles and videos and reading things out loud to me about being contaminated, about washing your hands, making Clorox wipes doesn't kill it. Only bleach does. You have to wash your hands. You have to sanitize everything, but sanitizer actually doesn't kill it. And he was so scared that I was going to contract it or that I was going to get sick with the same thing. And he was like, I don't ever want you to experience that. That was so horrible. I believe, unless I totally could be mistaken. I don't know anything about this, but I thought that was just the common stomach flu, which I've gotten multiple times throughout my life. When I was a kid, I swear I threw up like every single day. It felt like I didn't want to get sick, so I was washing my hands, doing all that stuff. So Sunday we woke up. That's when he was telling me that he was texting his friend. All day I was playing nurse and cleaning, like cleaning, nurse, cleaning, nurse. At this point, it was Sunday night. I was tired. I didn't want to wash my hands anymore. But Keaton's like, just wash your hands before bed and then just climb in bed. So I went to wash my hands for the last time. And I was so sick of washing my hands. And it's ironic because I have OCD and sometimes that can look like washing your hands. For me, it's never, ever, ever been that. And I understand now, like the raw feeling of the hands that I hear people talk about, because my hands were so raw and I was so annoyed with washing them. I did not want to wash them again. But Keaton was like, you have to wash them before you go to bed. I'm like, oh, okay. Didn't want to do it. Walk into the bathroom for the last time, thankfully. Pump our freaking organic, vinegary, lemony soap. Click the pumper. And a huge, like, probably it felt like a cup, but most likely just a 1/4 of a teaspoon. Yeah, a teaspoon. Shot right into my eye. And this pumper is fast and it is hard. When I tell you I didn't know what planet I was on for a second because it shot into my eye and I immediately jumped back and like stepped back a couple of steps, losing my balance. It was probably 2 miles per hour, but it felt like it was someone just punched me. When I tell you, it felt like the Hulk put acid in his hand and punched my eye. So I stumble backwards. I'm so disoriented. I have I forgot my name. I forgot what I was doing, who I was, what was happening. Because when you get shot in the eye at that velocity with that type of substance, it's so disorienting. I didn't know what to do. And immediately I thought, I'm going to lose my eye. I'm going to lose my vision in my right eye. That's okay. I just stay calm. It's okay if I lose my eye. There's more important things to life is what was going through my head. But this all happened in like 1 second. And then Keaton was in here while I was in the bathroom, and I yelled Keaton's name and I just said, help. So Keaton comes running in. Keep in mind he's sick. So he runs up and he's like, oh wait, I can't help you. I can't touch you. I don't want you to get sick. I'm like, sir, I have 1 pound of soap in my eye. I cannot see. I can't open my other eye. I don't know what's happening right now. I need help. I need you to guide me to the sink so I can start washing this crap out of my eye. And he's like, I literally can't touch you. And so I'm crying at this point, freaking out because it hurts so bad. And I've gotten hit in the eye with a Nerf gun before and it tore my cornea. And that was so painful. But this was worse because it was burning. Like the soap, it was like crunchy, soapy. Ugh. So with my eyes closed, Keaton can't help me. He's just yelling in my ear to like clean out my eye, get to the sink. So I'm using my hands to find where the sink is. I'm about to turn on the faucet, and Keaton goes, no. He said, you can't touch that until you disinfect it. Get the Clorox wipes and disinfect everything around the sink before you do anything. And I was about to lose my freaking mind at this point because I was like, I don't care if I get the stupid stomach flu that I've had 1,000 times. I'm scared that I'm going to lose sight in my right eye forever. Please. I'm not going to disinfect it. So I was so annoyed with what he was saying, but I still did it because I was like, you know what? I don't even know really what's happening, so I can't think super clearly. So I'm like trying to find the Clorox wipes by the sink. I wipe off the sink. Meanwhile, my eye is still on fire. I have soap burning in my eye. Finally, everything's cleaned. I turn on the sink and he's like, no, wash your hands first. You got to wash your hands with soap before you touch your face and your eye. That's when I lost it. And I was like, I literally do not care if I get the stupid virus. I am going to wash this shiz out of my eye immediately because it hurts so effing bad and I'm scared for my life. And I'm so disoriented right now. Like I'm not doing that. I grab the faucet, still can't see, and I turn the faucet upside down so that it's like kind of shooting up, and I hold my eye open with one hand. With the other hand, I have the faucet shooting up into my eye. The water's going into my eye. It's extremely painful. It doesn't feel like it's cleaning anything because it's gunky already, because the soap is like gunky. And so it's not like it's just falling out of my eye. It's like getting crustier with each blink. I don't even know how to describe the discomfort that I felt for the next like hour rinsing my eye out. I started to cry. I said a couple of cuss words. I kept tapping my foot every time I'd blink because it helped me, because it was so painful to blink. But I wanted to like slowly blink to like get the stuff running out of my eye. But every time I was going like this. That's what I looked like. I looked like this. Every time to get the gunk out of my eye. And throughout this whole time, Kian is just sitting on the bed because he can't touch me. He can't help. He doesn't want to like get me sick. And so can't be comforted, still disoriented, just absolutely miserable. And Kian feels so bad. He like is just so sad that he can't do anything. I thought about going to the like urgent care or something, but when my cornea got torn, they couldn't do anything anyways. So they just gave me a patch base or like a pad and just told me to just let it heal naturally. And it never fully healed. I think you could still see it when I got my eyes done. But anyway, so I was like, they're not going to do anything for me. They're just going to give me eye drops and then I pay $600 for nothing. They're going to freaking hold my eye open with that metal thing and put dye in it to see what's happening. And I hated that sensation. So once everything calmed down, I look in the mirror. My mind was in a very dramatic place because I thought I'm never going to look the same again. I thought this has changed my face forever. My eye will never heal. I'm going to have the puffy pink, gross, pussy eye for the rest of my life. But obviously it's healing. It's almost already better. It's only been a couple of days. So that night, Keen and I just were miserable. We were miserable in our own different ways. And we laid on the bed, on separate sides of the bed with our own blankets and our own pillows. Actually, I didn't have a pillow because they were dirty from Keaton, I guess. And he was scared they were going to contaminate me. So we laid there for a couple of hours talking about how this is pretty miserable, but maybe someday it'll be a funny story and we'll both feel better. And it's already a distant memory, but my eye is still in pain. So the next day I woke up, I had to go to work. My eye woke up completely crusted shut. Sorry, gross, I know, but it was completely crusted shut. I had to like re-wet it to like loosen everything up, and then I got the gunk out. But it's pretty amazing that your eye gets all the gunk out by itself. Like it just starts to push everything out, so you just kind of grab it, you know? And my eye was still very swollen, very red, pretty bad looking. Was really embarrassed to go into work, but I had to work, so went into work. So went to the office, try not to look at anybody. I probably seemed so rude that day, but it was one of those things where I didn't want to pass anybody in the hallway and them look at my eye and be like, ew, did she come to work with pink eye? But I also I'm not going to be I'm not the type of person that's going to like be like, okay, wait, I'm sorry, hold on. This isn't pink eye. Technically, I shot soap in my eye, so now it's just really red and irritated. So I didn't come to work with pink eye to contaminate everybody else, type of a thing. I didn't want to do that, so I just tried to like not look at anybody really. But that is my story. I always have weird things happen to my eye. I had paint fly into my eye in a random situation. A Nerf gun shot my eye. Now this. It's like, just leave my eyes alone, people. Okay, so now that we're done with my life updates and stories, let's get into the meat of today's episode, which is intentions. So I kind of started to talk about already before, but I think the point that I wanted to come across is for the people that you know, and you know their heart, you know how much they care about you, you know them, that I think it's really important to try to understand their intentions always. It can be so beneficial to understand their intentions and to not take things personally or to take things in the worst way and assume the worst from what they said or did or anything. This comes from my personal experience of I was the queen of taking everything personally. Anything anyone said that was kind of a side remark, I would take it personally, and I would think it was an attack on me. And I was kind of like in this victim mentality of, oh, well, you're attacking me. I'm under attack. Even though the feelings behind that are real, and it does feel like I'm under attack a lot. I think just growing up thinking that there was always something wrong with me because of my OCD or anxiety or whatever, maybe perfectionist mentality or whatever it is. You know, we all have our things that we struggle with and we might be a little bit insecure about. And so when somebody even says a joke, it can feel like they're really attacking you. This is not really talking about people who blatantly are rude and are actually attacking you, because there's a difference between somebody who you know and who might just like kind of tease you every once in a while versus somebody who is like does not have your best interests in mind, and they just actually really want to hurt you, and their intention is to hurt you and like on purpose, and they know what they're doing. Because I think a lot of the times our partners or our friends or whoever, family members, sometimes they might say something that is hurtful, but it was never their intention to hurt you. I think I could do better with this with everybody, no matter if I'm close or not close to them. Just like assume, I think, the best and try to understand and ask questions about their intentions or like about what they are really wanting to say or what they want to come across, because some people just might not be good at explaining their feelings, and it's not like they're emotionally not available or, you know, all of these different things that we see online. I think sometimes people just, that's not like their strength, and they might just have different strengths and different weaknesses than us. And one of their weaknesses could just be they make too many jokes and they don't really know when it is a bad time or a good time to like say something funny or to, I don't know, read the room a little bit. If you have a partner or a loved one that maybe when you're feeling a little bit upset or sad about something, they might make a joke or they might tease you a little bit, or maybe they try to make you laugh, and that might be more hurtful to you. It is for me. Like if I'm feeling sad and someone says something to tease me and I'm just not in the mood, it kind of hurts my feelings. But also, if you know that your partner has said to you before that they're just trying to make you laugh, like they just want you to be happy, they're trying to make you laugh, that's like what their heart wants, that's their intention. Even if that's not the outcome that happens from that behavior, but that is their intention. So I think in those moments when you know your partner or loved one, to like kind of remind yourself about that. And it's not to say, okay, my feelings don't matter, because they do. They really do. You guys can work together on trying to get to a place where you can say, hey, I know you're just trying to make me laugh and be happy, and I appreciate that, and I know that's what you're trying to do, but I kind of need this instead right now. Can you do that for me? And that comes from a more loving, understanding place, versus sometimes if that happens and you're like, why are you never serious? How come you never care about me? Or how come you never just listen to me? Because then you're using like, you know, those no words like never and always. And now you're attacking them. And so then it's like you're both have your walls up and you're both kind of guarded and you're both kind of assuming the worst. There's a lot of good that can come from understanding their intentions. You know, people might come back and say, well, what about my feelings? Like, how come I have to be the one that has to like be the bigger person and forgive and all of these things? But if I may, when I think like that, I'm not thinking clearly, to be honest. And then I stop and think about how the world does not revolve around my feelings. And I know those feelings come up because that's how I felt sometimes. And sometimes I still have that like attitude in my head, like, well, how come I have to be the bigger person? And how come I have to? You don't have to. You genuinely don't have to if you don't want to. But I think there's a huge part of you that wants to love and that wants to understand and connect. And we're all imperfect. And so that's a huge way that we can connect, is to let your guard down and be vulnerable and with those that you trust and that you've committed to and that you love and that they love you. And, you know, this is not towards, and you're not going to do this with everybody. You're going to do this with people who have shown you that they do say sorry and they recognize like, yeah, I should have done better and I'm sorry. This is not with people who like actually really abuse your emotions. These are with just normal, imperfect people that we have relationships with, that there's a lot of connection and gain that comes from trying to really understand their heart and their intentions and connect on that field first, before taking offense to jokes or to, you know, even just normal things that people say that you might feel like you need to take offense from it. And also along the same lines, to kind of respond back to that attitude of, well, how come I have to do it? How come they don't do anything, you know? Really take a second and reflect. Like, do they really not do anything? Are you really the only one that does anything good in their relationship? Because I really don't think that that's true. Sometimes that can be hard to hear, but it's sometimes a huge relief when you feel like you put the weight of the relationship on your shoulders, but you don't need to do that. I think especially if you're somebody that's more anxious in your relationships and you overthink everything and you overthink a lot of things that your partner does, and you kind of look for ways out or look for ways that they're messing up versus looking for ways that they're doing really good and looking for ways that you are safer in the relationship. I think that this is a good opportunity to kind of change that way of thinking if you're in a good relationship and with a good partner. So I also think, and also in my experience when I do this, it's not only for the other person. There is a huge chunk of myself that is so relieved and takes the pressure off when I stop expecting them to be perfect, because it takes the pressure off me. And it's not saying I'm not going to try to be kind and understanding, but I genuinely think that perfectionistic mindset makes it harder to be compassionate and kind to other people, because we have those beating perfectionism eyes on ourselves and on everybody else, which can make us way more critical and kind of hurt people more than we would want, because I don't think anyone wants that. If you're more anxious, you probably do really care and you want a good relationship and you want to be happy and feel free, and you can get that. It just is probably not in the way that you think it's going to happen. There's a lot more surrendering and kind of letting go of a perfect relationship in your head. When I do practice that, it frees up like my mental space. Okay, so that kind of sums up what I wanted to talk about with that. I hope any of that made sense. And yeah, I hope that makes sense. I could talk about that all day because I just think it's really important and it's really helpful for a more fulfilling relationship in life. And I genuinely think our generation and like social media and stuff, it just has really affected the way that we expect relationships to happen, and we expect things to be perfect because we might see videos of things looking perfect, and life is just more complex than that and changing, and it's still beautiful, it's still wonderful, and things can feel amazing, and they are amazing, but it's not going to be perfect looking like how we want it to be. And so I don't think we need to cut people out or be lonely because we want perfection. So that's all I'm saying. Okay, let's do a Dear Abby. Also, sorry my camera is going to be off because, yeah, I've just had some camera issues today. But let's do a Dear Abby and then call it a day. Also, I know I said last week that Keaton was going to be able to be on, but because he was sick and he's not feeling good, I figured that this week is not the week he's going to be on. So I've postponed that. So we will answer that Dear Abby from last week in an upcoming week again, when he feels not sick. Hi, Abby. I just want to start by saying how helpful your podcast has been for me recently. I've been struggling quite a bit, and listening to your experiences have made me feel less alone. Thank you for listening. I have a question regarding medications. I know this is quite personal, but I'm wondering if you could share your experience with them. In the past, I had negative experiences with a lot of side effects, but things have felt so heavy lately that I'm considering trying them again. I'd really appreciate any advice or insight you could offer on what you recommend and what your own journey with medication for mental health has been, whether positive or negative. So this is a great question for this time in my life. I've tried multiple medications, maybe like 5 or 6 at this point. I've had both positive and negative experiences. This is a controversial topic, and it's not just for some reason. It's a lot of people are really passionate about either side of no medication or medication and therapy, or all therapy and all eating healthy and stuff like that. And I think the best advice I could give is whatever you think you need to do for yourself is the right choice. That's not just based off of only feelings. That's also based off of you should do a lot of research. If you're going to see a psychiatrist, I would do a lot of research with reviews of that psychiatrist, because there's good psychiatrists in my experience and bad. Some who really care about you and who care about your experience with the medication, and who don't really care that much about you. That's just like the job they picked. And be picky with them. If you don't like one, then request another one or try someone else that's in your insurance. And also who makes it your choice, because sometimes I felt a lot of pressure from some to do some things, and sometimes I felt like it was my choice and they showed me and told me everything on both sides, pros and cons, and whatever you want to do, we'll figure it out and I'll support you. And I think those are the best psychiatrists, who just support and educate and support. But to sum up my experience now, Lexapro, I tried hydroxyzine, there's been a couple years ago that I tried for anxiety and OCD, and none of those really did that much for me. I was probably only on those for a couple of months and then stopped. There's definitely certain medications. I took an antihistamine once that made me super tired and made me way more depressed, like severely depressed. Those are kind of my negative experiences. But then other than that, I had really positive experiences with this medication that I actually weaned off of it like the past month, but I was on it for about a year, and it was for my bipolar disorder. And because I was diagnosed with bipolar 2, which is like the lesser one. And when I took it at the beginning, I was really anxious about medication, because I think there was a prideful part of me that didn't want to take it because, well, I don't need to take it because I could just eat healthy food like I see videos of people post about, and I can work out and I can do all these things and go on runs every day, and then I won't need medication anymore. It's from seeing a lot of demonization of medication, as if some medication isn't a total miracle when people need help. I think medication is like a miracle from God that we have to give us an extra oomph when we need it. And some people just need certain medications to help what they lack in their brain. And yes, perhaps there are stories of people who didn't need medication because they started to run, 2 miles a day, and they ate green juice every morning, and they did like a bunch of other things. And you could do that if you wanted, and you could try that out. And then if it doesn't work, then but also it's okay if you just want to try medication and not have it be a shameful thing. It really bugs me when people make it feel like it should be a shameful thing, like you're not doing enough, when the person who's shaming you probably also does what everyone else does and does a pretty good job at taking care of themselves, but doesn't show up perfectly and eat the perfect thing 24/7 all the time. So that's why I say whatever you think and however you feel about it is the right decision. And don't listen to anybody else really, unless they're a professional and you trust them and they care, because people who don't understand medication and aren't in that world and don't understand medication. You know what I mean? I totally understand being scared of medication or feeling like it's a failure of some kind if you try medication, but I really don't believe that, because my last experience with this medication that I've been taking, I was having really bad depressive episodes and manic episodes, and they stopped when I took the medication. And I think I had maybe two or three in the past year. And that is way less often than I used to have it. I used to have it like once a month, sometimes a couple times a month. And my lifestyle has been pretty similar. I've always been active. I always try to eat like 80-20. I just mentally, I struggled. I've just struggled my whole life. And I haven't had good habits with that. And so I needed help, and I need help sometimes. And with bipolar, more than anything, really, it is an actual physical imbalance, and you need help with it. So I feel like I was really humbled by my experience with it, because I thought that I was failing somehow if I needed medication. But my psychiatrist and I were talking recently, like in the past like 2 months. She was very affirming to me that, you know, it's my choice. And she's like, if you wanted to wean off medication before you get pregnant because you're nervous about, like, you want to breastfeed and you're just nervous about any side effects or anything, let's wean you off, and then we'll see where that takes you. Let's see if you have any episodes. Just kind of, you don't have to like obsessively track, just like watch and be aware. And if anything happens and, you know, you realize you really do need this medication, then we move forward with knowing that you really do need help with this. But if not, maybe you just needed that extra support for like a year, and it kind of got you back to neutral, and now you just got to upkeep by supplementing and also having a good lifestyle, because the lifestyle thing is important. I think I just don't believe that everybody's going to have a perfect lifestyle their whole life, so they should be shamed if they need medication to help support. So yeah, I don't know. That's my 2 cents about medication. I got a little bit heated there. I apologize. I am passionate about it, and I am sure everything will work out the way that it's supposed to with your medication, and your life will play out how it's supposed to. You'll have a beautiful life, and you can handle whatever is thrown your way, whether it is medication or not. You can handle it. Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of Dear Abby. If you want to support the podcast, you can leave a rating, a review on Apple or Spotify podcasts. You can also like, subscribe, comment on YouTube. I love when I see some subscription notifications pop up. So subscribe to me on YouTube if you're not already subscribed. I also post vlogs every once in a while. It's just kind of, I just post whatever I want on there, honestly. So if you want to support that, go for it. If you wanted to send in a Dear Abby, or just let me know if you want to hear me talk about something in particular, you can send it to the number in the description below, and you could be on the next episode or on an upcoming episode. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Love you. Bye.
우회전 taking a ride to journey 눈치 보면서 들어가 할 때 찾아 나머진 바빠 개설레임 바꾸는 사람들 시간만 지나가 자신감